What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. Wanted to dive in and give you guys an update on the situation around Rio, the map that was added a while back during the season 1 reloaded update. During that time period that we thought Rio was a solid map, but due to, the whole Major 1 cycle, sort of all that conversation that they weren't going to take a look at the map until after Major 1, teams have played it for about a week or so. So I want to give you an update on where it's at across all 3 game modes and give you my projections if the map is added, what maps will come out of the pool. So we'll start with Hardpoint just in general. If you've not seen or played this map, I recommend that you check out the trailers. Go load in and play. It's a pretty standard 3-lane map. The middle lane is sort of this sort of mall area with escalators going up on both sides from both spawns. You have the right side, which is sort of a standard sort of narrow lane with some head glitches. It's got a vertical area where you can cross in the middle from a catwalk. One of the hills actually below the catwalk area. You kind of hide behind the pillars so you don't get shot from spawns. And then P4 and P2 are on the other side, which is more of like a load. I call it like kind of a loading dock side of the building. There's some verticality. You see where P2 is. That's the higher part of the lane. P4 is lower, but there are a lot of head glitches if you are coming off the team to spawn with that kind of P4 hill behind a truck and some barrels and some garages. Anyway, it's a pretty cool 3-lane map with a lot of cover, a lot of playability. It's actually not a it's not a tiny map. The lanes are such that I think if you have an SMG in your hands, I think you could kind of make a decent amount of plays. So when I've seen some teams play in scrims that I've seen, I see a lot of 2 subs, sometimes 3 subs, especially on hills like P3. The nice thing I think as well about this map is, say we're playing P2, I've noticed that if you are spawning out, you are spawning like a little bit deep, which I think will allow for a lot of space for people to make plays and push up, and it won't be as chaotic as you're seeing with some maps like, Invasion, for example, where it's kind of a mix on some of the hills with spawns. So I actually think this map is super playable, especially for respawn. But let's dive in all the game modes and I'll talk about it. So again, for Hardpoint, I really like all the hill locations. The only hill that I'm not a big fan of is P5, kind of the cover and the way that the hill plays. I don't really see it as like a super money hill unless you can kind of push up and sort of hold a spawn trap. But the other hills are pretty fun. There are some decent sort of stair glitchy type spots on like P1 and around P3, but I think people will kind of figure that out, G8, whatever. In general, I think the expectation from talking to pros, when people have said on stream, it looks like Rio is coming in. So let's see what map is going to be removed from the pool. All right, so this is the current map set that we have as of recording this video. For Hardpoint, so we have Invasion, Karachi, Subbase, and Terminal. So yes, I know the new Invasion hills and spawns are kind of iffy, but I think this map is staying in. Karachi, they have also made some tweaks, and I'm not a big fan of P4 in this map, but I haven't heard about this map getting out. Skid Row was not touched in the last update, and again, haven't heard anything about that being removed. And same for Subbase. And the general consensus amongst everybody I've talked to is that unfortunately Terminal will be the map that is going to be removed for Rio. I know there was some conversation, we talked about it on the flank, potentially about, could you have 6 maps in the pool? And I think you can. I don't think it messes up the vetoes like too much. You can keep the vetoes as is, and then 2 maps are just left over when you do the Hardpoint vetoes, or you can add another one. I don't know. You can figure it out. It's a solvable problem, basically. I know some people making it sound like it's impossible. It's a solvable problem. I think the issue is that the Terminal Hardpoint spawns right now, and in general, the way the map plays, I don't think it's very fun. It's not to say it's unpredictable in the ways that the spawns work, because I think they are fairly predictable at times. I just think it's just not a fun map to play, and I don't think that we should just leave it in just because we want to, have variety. If the map's not good, let's remove it. And then we got 5 decent solid Hardpoint maps. So that's my expectation as far as what I've heard. If Rio's coming in, it's Terminal coming out to be the new 5th map in the Hardpoint pool. All right, let's talk about S&D. So here are the S&D bomb locations on this map. So B is in the middle of the map towards the sort of right side. If you're seeing sort of how this mini map or so this big map is oriented, it's toward the right side here. So you can kind of see it from that right lane, although with the way you can stretch bombs in this game, it's iffy. You can play it that way, but it's iffy. An A bomb is over kind of in the low spot of the map by the sort of garage top leftish. So what I've heard about S&D on this map is sort of interesting. I actually think that a decent amount of folks that have played it like it. I've heard that teams are going to scrim it this week and really get a feel for whether or not it is better than any S&D maps in the pool. So right now, not totally committed, I think, to this map coming in, but I've heard some positive things. So let's see what the chatter is in the next couple of days about this map coming in. I actually don't really know what S&D map would go out in this situation. I think high rise is probably safe. I think Invasion's probably safe. I think Karachi is probably safe. And it's really a question of for Terminal and Skid Row. Why is a terrible question mark? Sure. There you go. A little bit better. Skid Row and Terminal, I think it's a question of which one will probably go out. I would say for me, I think Terminal S&D is kind of boring, but I also think Skid Row's search kind of plays really weird right now that people have learned some grenades on defense and offense. And I just don't, the map's kind of a bang out at times. And I think, you know, if Rio kind of plays really good, I do think for me, I would remove Skid Row. But at the end of the day, just because of my opinion here, it doesn't necessarily matter. This becomes sort of a very political thing with the pros. And I think it comes down, and we've talked about this a lot with vetoes. On this channel, on the flank, it comes down to, you know, what maps teams are good at, what maps teams are bad at. Some people vote that way. Some people vote just based on map merit because they don't really care. The better teams generally do that. So I'm not sure which of these two would go, but I would expect High Rise, Invasion, and Karachi are safe. And we'll see with more news throughout the week if it comes to the S&D map pool, and it's probably coming in for one of those two. Again, I don't see this one being a 6-map ad and keeping those two, just because I think there are a lot of questions about Skid Row and Terminal Search, and I think it would be enough merit to remove them from the pool because they're not like S-tier maps in the game mode. And then finally, we'll talk about Control. I know some teams have tried this out, but I don't know yet if there's momentum for it to replace any maps in the Control map pool. I've heard it's decent. I think generally the consensus I've heard is that people haven't played it enough to really have a thought if it's better than some of the other Control maps in the pool, and we'll get to that. But I expect more teams to try it out this week before they make a decision on if this map is going to come in or just not be added at all. You see, again, the location very similar to bomb sites, right? A is in that sort of low sort of stairs loading dock area by the garage, and B is sort of in the middle of the map of the mall, sort of around the big planter thing. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, sort of thing in the middle of that mall area. To me, I think if a map is going to come in or remove a map in the Control pool, because I actually don't think we would keep, I think one of these is the obvious one to go, basically, because I think High Rise Control, generally there's enough like or dislike, I think, to keep that in. Karachi, same. I think if any map's going to come out, and again, not 100% certain, Hardpoint right now is the only map of Rio I'm like, it's coming in. It's Invasion. I think because of a couple of things. One is this is one of the most defensive sided maps we've ever seen in Control, and that's saying something because we played Gava 2 Control for a year. It's pretty bad. And I think generally pro teams are probably not a fan of this one for the most part. I know some top teams don't mind playing it, but I can see, again, if there's a vote for Control, I think it's clear that Invasion would be the one coming out. It would just be a question of if there are enough votes to go ahead and remove it. So I think in summary, for me, it's a question for Rio. I think 100%, right? I think it comes in for Terminal Hardpoint. I think that one is pretty clear. Whether or not it gets added for the other game modes is a really open question to me. It seems like from things that JP has said on stream the last couple of days, other pros have said, kind of grinding ranked, that's still being tried out for their game modes, but the general consensus at Hardpoint is like 99%. The other two, we'll see how pros do it. Again, unfortunately, the way that pros vote is not necessarily based on whether the map is good or not. They're going to vote based on their own biases, what's going to make their team and their ability to stay a pro more important. So we'll see how the politics nail out and whether or not Rio comes in for 1, 2, or all 3 game modes at the start of this stage 2. But now I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you guys think about Rio. Have you played it? Do you think it should be in for all 3 game modes? Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. As always, guys, we'll see you on the next one.